Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Welcome back to the Fertility Dietitian podcast. We're talking all about plastics and microplastics and how they impact egg quality, sperm health, and fertility today. One of the things that I've learned after about a decade of working in fertility is this: the environment that your egg and your sperm are maturing in matters more than genetics. It matters more than that hand you were dealt, because we have what is called epigenetics, where we can influence our gene expression with our exposures. So that environment has a really big impact. And yet, for years, probably decades, concerns about environmental toxins have been dismissed as overblown or fear-based. But fast forward to today, and we're finally seeing what many of us in root cause medicine have been saying all along. Exposures are not benign, especially when it comes to reproductive health. Why I care about this in preconception care is because eggs and sperm are incredibly sensitive to their environment. They rely on proper hormone signaling, healthy mitochondria, intact cell membranes, and a healthy detox system that can keep up. Microplastics and the chemicals attached to them interfere with every single one of these systems, and this matters long before pregnancy even begins. During the maturation of the follicle or the egg, throughout sperm development, and certainly it is going to be impacting implantation and placental formation once pregnancy does occur as well. But remember that environment is influencing that development of the egg and the sperm for months prior to ovulation actually happening, or that sperm being able to be an option for fertilization also. So you might be wondering what microplastics are and why fertility is so vulnerable to these. Well, plastics don't disappear. They break down, but over time, plastic products fragment into microplastics, which are technically smaller than 5 millimeters, and nanoplastics, which are so small that they can actually enter our individual cells. These particles are now found in our food, in our drinking water, in the air that we breathe. They're found in reproductive tissues, including our ovaries, our testes. They're found in the placenta. They're found in semen and breast milk, and even in baby's first stool. And the most concerning part, nanoplastics can cross the placental barrier and the blood-brain barrier, which means that exposure is not just affecting you, it can affect the earliest stages of human development, preconception and during pregnancy, and it's getting into our brain. Like, this is a big deal. Definitely something we need to be paying more attention to. For fertility specifically, we're seeing research on microplastics. It's still very much emerging, but here's what we already know and what matters for conception. Microplastics and the chemicals they carry are linked to endocrine disruption, so altered estrogen and progesterone and testosterone signaling, oxidative stress, which is damaging egg and the health of the sperm DNA, inflammation, which is a major barrier to all pieces of conception, including implantation, and impaired mitochondrial function, which is So key for egg quality and sperm motility, that mitochondria needs to be healthy and functioning well to produce the abundance amount of energy that's required to carry out follicle development and sperm health and keep them healthy along the way. Many plastics contain chemicals like BPA is probably one that you've heard of, also phthalates and PFAS. These compounds can mimic or block hormones, and hormones are basically the language of fertility. This helps explain why we are seeing rising rates of unexplained infertility, poor egg and sperm quality, implantation failure, and pregnancy complications. Not because plastics are the only cause, but because they add to the total toxic burden that the body is trying to manage. And if they're actually getting into our cells as a nanoplastic, they're causing a lot of issues with how cells are functioning and able to replicate and support appropriate DNA health and energy creation for every step of reproduction. Here's something I say often. You don't detox during pregnancy. You prepare before it. So your body will always prioritize protecting a developing baby. If toxic burden is high before conception, the body has fewer resources available for hormone balance and nutrient delivery and placental development, which is why preconception is the ideal time to reduce these exposures. And we can do this without panic, and it does not have to mean perfection in avoidance. Okay, so let's talk about how to reduce exposure without going crazy, because I can tell you that it is absolutely impossible to completely avoid them, but we can decrease exposures and make really impactful change. So take a deep breath. Plastics are everywhere. Avoidance is impossible. You need to remind yourself of this because otherwise it's going to drive you crazy. We can reduce high impact exposures and can meaningfully lower the load that your body is dealing with. And we can support detox pathways to help get what's already in there out in the best ways we know how. So start here. We want to be ditching plastic water bottles, especially if they've been heated, but really ditch the plastic water bottles altogether. Never heat food in plastics or anything you're going to be consuming in plastics. Switch over to glass or stainless steel. Store fertility foods in glass, so leftovers in glass, ideally. Choose whole, minimally processed foods because processing of the food actually includes increasing the plastic contamination of that food. Also, avoid plastic tea bags. This one often surprises people, but a lot of tea bags actually have plastics in them. Switch your plastic cutting boards for wood or bamboo. So if you're using a plastic cutting board regularly, you're consuming a lot of plastic, unfortunately. So switch those out ASAP. Choose natural fiber clothing whenever possible. So especially the clothing that is on your reproductive organs. Anything that you're sweating in or getting really hot in is priority to swap out when it comes to clothing. Reducing dust exposure with HEPA filters and damp mopping is really helpful. So dust is basically a collection of chemicals, unfortunately. So like our flame retardants on our furniture and in our carpets and on our paint, and the plastic particles within all of those products also collect in dust. So getting rid of that. Sweeping's not great. Dry dusting's not great because it kind of poofs it up into the air. So damp mopping, damp dusting, getting good quality filters in your house is really helpful. Getting fresh air into the house every day, 10 to 15 minutes, open the doors, open the windows, get good fresh air in the house is also really helpful for that overall air quality, as well as decreasing plastic exposure that you're breathing in through the air. And then do what you can to avoid microplastics in personal care products. Okay. We're not encouraging you to go crazy and swap everything out all at once. But anytime that you are ready to make a swap, think about stacking the odds in your favor and decreasing exposure wherever you can. All right. So for the big picture, reducing your exposure matters, but so does supporting your body's ability to handle what it can't avoid. So this means repleting minerals and supporting your liver detox pathways, optimizing your gut health, because that is also a big detox pathway. Stabilizing your blood sugar to decrease internal stress, which is also very depleting. Supporting your mitochondrial health in other ways is going to be very, very helpful too. Think good quality sleep, think red light therapy, think saunas and sweating, all going to be helpful for mitochondrial health, as well as a lot of antioxidants in your diet. So think bright, vibrant foods for support there as well. So this is why fertility care or preconception care must be foundational, okay, not reactionary, because it takes time to see adjustments in your body that are then going to be trickling down to supporting the health of your pregnancy and the health of your baby as well. And then the great news is that once you do have that healthy baby, you already have these practices in place to be reducing their exposure during their early years also. We don't need to wait for perfect data to take reasonable action. We know enough about micro and nanoplastics to know that they're not good. Our bodies are not supposed to be exposed at the levels that they are being exposed to. So when early research shows really consistent signals like that, especially in reproductive tissues and the brain, it's really wise to reduce what we can, support what the body needs, and advocate for safer systems, because plastic exposure doesn't end with us. It accumulates across generations, and preconception care is about more than getting pregnant. It's about creating the healthiest possible environment for the next generation to begin in also. If you found this information helpful, please share it, and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.